there, and welcome to the Transparently Jordan podcast, where I'll be talking with a new guest each week, and we'll be covering topics in health, fitness, lifestyle, and so much more. So stick around and let's get into today's episode.
This is Radiant Voices Media.
Hey everyone, I want to tell you about a brand called Ree, the sunglasses made by runners for runners. Born in Sydney, Ree was built with one goal in mind: to create sunnies that actually keep up with you. Whether you're hitting a sunrise tempo session or grinding through a weekend-long run, Ree delivers crystal clear lens tech, lightweight frames, and durability that doesn't quit, no matter how many times you sweat through them or stuff them in your bag. They offer a range of lens shades and technology to suit all conditions. From bright road races to shaded trails, there's no slipping, no bouncing, just solid performance and style. So if you're tired of sunglasses that can't go the distance, it's time to rethink your eyewear. Check them out at reyourrun.com.au and use code Jordan10 for a little something off your first pair. That's code Jordan10 to save yourself 10% off your first pair. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Transparently Jordan podcast. Now, I am so glad you're here with me today because this is a conversation that I think so many of us need to have, especially right now. I think this episode just kind of hits personally for me because I personally am starting a lot of things, and I have been starting a lot of things over the past year. And I think we all might have this dream, or not even a dream, but things that we want to start and aspire to. And today we're going to be talking about the fear of starting. That feeling when you have an idea, a dream, a goal, but there's a tiny voice in your head whispering, what if you fail? What if people laugh? What if you're just not good enough? And let's be real, sometimes that voice is louder than the dream itself. But here's the truth. Almost every great story you know, whether it's business, a creative project, a fitness journey, a total life transformation, started with someone feeling terrified. Someone who worried about being judged, about falling flat on their face, people talking behind their back, but they started anyways. And that is the difference between staying stuck and stepping into greatness. They did it anyways, and they started. One of the most powerful fears we face is kind of the fear of being judged. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion, and they're not shy about sharing it, and they have a platform to share it now, especially with social media. Social media can make it feel like you have an invisible audience watching your every move, just kind of waiting for you to mess up or talk behind your back, laughing, etc., etc. But I think the truth is that this might sound harsh, but most people are too focused on themselves to care about what you're doing. And those ones who do have the time to laugh and judge you are almost never the ones that are doing anything bold themselves or anything of a value. They are probably bored with their own lives and with what they're doing to need to hyperfixate on making fun of you and spending time out of their day to make fun of you. No one doing better than you is laughing at you. No one achieving greatness is sitting around criticizing someone who's just getting started. I think it's very important to remember that. Now, another thing that holds us back is this idea that we have to start huge. We think if I'm not the best from day one, I shouldn't even bother. But that's not how growth works and how starting something works. You don't build a six-figure business or a business at all running a marathon or writing a novel or creating community overnight. You build it one messy, awkward, uncomfortable step at the time. Every expert you admire once started out absolutely clueless. They started from somewhere, and that's usually from nothing. Every artist, every athlete, every entrepreneur, they all have a day one story. And the most of those days and those day ones are full of mistakes, cringe moments, and learning kind of the hard way. And I think it's important to remember that because that's exactly how it's kind of supposed to be. I think we all expect to be an overnight success, but it's the furthest thing. Being a successful business, it's often the furthest thing from, being an overnight success. Now, there's this saying that I love. If you're not embarrassed by who you were a year ago, you're not growing fast enough. Let yourself be a beginner. It's one of the bravest things you can do. Now, let's zoom out a little bit. It's 2025, and the world we're living in is not the world our parents grew up in or our grandparents grew up in. For decades, the safe path, quote unquote, was to go to university, get a degree, get a stable job, work for 40 years, then retire. But today, there are so many more paths to success. You can build an entire career online these days, whether it's content creation, consulting, freelancing, tech, coaching, marketing, you name it, you can do it online. There are digital nomads running six-figure businesses from their laptops. Sometimes people who have no university degree earning more than people who have full-on master's degrees. There are creators building brands and communities around passions that didn't even exist 10 years ago. I personally, podcaster, and My Favorite Murder is one of my favorite podcasts. I've been listening to it. I think it's, 11 years or more than 10 years now. And that's a prime example of the two girls, Karen and Georgia, or women, sorry, who has created this massive thing, product, podcast, community on 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 passions that was so taboo nobody wanted to talk about 10 years ago, but now everybody loves true crime, and I think they are kind of pioneers in that space and for true crime podcasts. You can pivot now career paths multiple times. You can self-educate faster than ever before with resources at your fingertips for free. I personally am working on my brand new blog and brand new website, The Blunt Blueprint. And I am learning code. I am creating the website completely from scratch through code. And I am learning code all on my own for free with YouTube, with Reddit, with AI. And I'm quite proud of how the website's looking, on what I've been able to achieve over the last 3 to 4 months. And again, I am doing this with resources that is just at my fingertips for free. Now, I have a master's degree, and of course, university is still kind of the right choice, I think, for some careers: medicine, law, engineering. I'm a physiotherapist, but I think it's no longer the only path to a good life. We used to think that you needed to go to university for a good life. And honestly, the courage to bet on yourself is sometimes a bigger asset than any diploma. At the heart of everything we're talking about today is one choice: courage or comfort. Comfort feels safe, but it keeps you exactly where you are. Courage feels scary, but it's the only way you move forward. You don't have to feel fearless to choose courage. You just have to act even while you're afraid. One of my favorite quotes is feel the fear and do it anyways. That's it. You don't wait for fear to disappear. You walk with it and you keep on moving. I guess some practical advice that I've learned kind of creating and starting back in 2017, 2016, I started Vegan Vans blog. And that was back in a time when veganism was still at a low. Not everybody was vegan. And my blog, I got about a million views at times. My reviews went viral. I was at about 29,000 followers on Instagram, and I sold that blog to a company in Vancouver. I essentially was able to move to Australia and start fresh with that sale. I sold the Instagram, I sold the email list, and the recipes and everything. And I guess some practical advice that I learned was to start smaller than you think you need to. Don't aim for perfect, aim for done. Take the tiniest possible first step and celebrate that. The second thing is shift your focus to the people you want to serve, not the people who might judge. Think about who might be helped or inspired by what you're doing. Number 3 is accept that being bad at first is part of the process. The quicker you accept that you'll stumble, the faster you get better. Number 4 is build a circle of supporters. Find even 1 or 2 people who will encourage you and believe in your potential. That goes such a long way. And finally, visualize future you. Picture yourself a year from now if you stay stuck, and picture yourself if you start today. Which version do you want to meet? You were not put on this earth to live a tiny life. You were not born to be trapped by fear or judged by people who don't even know you or your full story. The truth is, you're going to be judged either way. You might as well be judged doing something amazing, something you love, and something that you have a passion for. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect timing. You just need a little courage and the willingness to take that first step. Because your future self is already waiting for you on the other side of fear, and trust me, they're cheering you on, be sure to just take the first step and start. Thank you all for listening to today's episode. Be sure to listen to all of the previous episodes. In the next couple of months, I'm going to be having guests back on, but I am just taking a break right now. There is a lot going on behind the scenes with everything else going on in my life. So, yeah, be prepared. In June, there are going to be a whole bunch of guests that are already scheduled. So, thank you for listening to a solo episode, and I will talk to you on the next one.